Hello and welcome to another devlog for the game S Racers SP. So, this is actually, I'm very happy with this devlog. Well, I mean, I don't know if I'm happy with the devlog, but I'm happy with the update. I'm posting it right now. There's no race timing feature, but there is a way to set up specific courses and save them, and it will keep track of which hoop you went through and where you need to go next. So, again, adhering to the theme of the drone park, you can set up the hoops, but if you don't really know which one comes next, then you might invent a course out of it, but it's still not the same thing as sharing a course that you've designed and trying courses that others have designed. And so the purpose of the update, there's a few features, but the reason why I'm posting it is that now, if you're wily, you could make a course, share it, someone else could fly it, you don't have to explain it. So I'll just pop right into here. And so the first feature that's part of this update is this reset ball. And so this reset ball is a few different things. And so now, it used to be if I pressed reset, it would reset the whole level. But there's nothing in the level, so if you placed rings, they would all be gone. And unless you saved them, they would just all be gone. And so the reset button now just warps you to the reset ball. And in space mode, you can now place the reset ball. So anywhere that you place it, and you can even reset to it while in space mode. So if I place the reset ball over here, I reset to it. So another thing that you can now do is you can place the ring, you can place the other ring, and then what you can do is you can build a race. So you hit the build a race button, and now I'm building the race. And so if I fly through this ring, and then I fly through this ring, and that's my race. So now, quit building the race, I come out of space mode, and so now you see I'm in the FPV camera of my little drone. Now if I turn on racing, and there we see a green field on the hoop, and on the back side of the hoop we see a red field. And so if I go through this red field, it doesn't checkpoint me, but if I go through the green field, then it does checkpoint me. And I can just sit here and just go through these hoops infinite times. There's no lap counter, there's no timer, there's no nothing. All it is you organize the hoops into the order that you want them to be in, and then it will show you where they are, and then you can just go through them infinitely. So you don't need this for yourself. If you organize some hoops, you're going to know what they are, but this feature is kind of aimed at sharing a course once you've built it. And so then if I want to make a different course out of these hoops, then I can just switch back to space mode, go back to building race, and let's say I want the player to have to go through both of them the same direction. Well, whichever direction I go through the hoop, and this can get a little buggy, and this is one of the issues at present. If you go too fast through the ring, so in VH mode, you can really get going fast. And I learned this with the reset ball. The physics engine and the position engine aren't always perfectly synced up. So you can confuse the ring. And if you do that, then it might think you went through it the other direction. But now if I switch back to racing, so now I go through here in this direction, and now I have to go back around and go through in this direction, because it knows which direction I set it to, and it's infinitely looping. Okay, so now let's say I wanted to go through, so that is only a 2-ring race. But let's say I wanted to make a figure 8. So all I gotta do here is quit racing, switch back to space mode. If I switch to build mode, it erases any of that stuff. Let me just delete these. Okay, so let's say I wanted to do a figure 8. And I wanted to use the same middle ring twice in one race and go through it each different direction. So here I've got a ring over here, a ring over here, a ring over here, and a ring over here. Let me move this one out of the way a little bit. And so let me say that I want my player to start right next to this ball right here. Now if I press the reset button, I'll come right back here, and another thing that will happen is if I'm racing, then it will reset the race. So what I want the player to have to do, I don't want the ball right there. I want the ball here. I want it in the middle. So now, oh, I better actually just place that reset ball over again, because that'll set my orientation aiming right where I want it to go. So now if I switch to building the race, so I'm going to go straight through this one, I'm going to go through this one, I'm going to come around here, I'm going to go through this one, but I'm going to go back through this one, I'm going to go through this one, and then I'm going to go through this one. And that's my race. So now I'm done building the race. Don't turn on building race again because you'll erase it. So then I gotta switch to drone mode, and then I can turn on the race. And now that I'm racing, I might say, oh, you know, I really don't want it to be right at the reset location, so I can press reset and I'll go back to there. And so now I'm gonna race through here, and I'm crossing my fingers, and I'm hoping that I don't get any erroneous bugs, but I think I've ironed it out so that if you go through the rings to build your race on normal, you should never have a problem. There might be a few rings that work a little differently. Some of the rings have a thinner. And you see I'm going back through that hoop again in the other direction as part of my lap. So, and you can go through a ring any number of times. You can just go through the ring 20 times all in one, you could just go through 20 different rings and then back to the one ring, and it'll keep track of it, and whichever direction you go through, it'll keep track of that as well. And so now I say that's pretty fun. I want to save that race, and so now if I save the level, it will save the hoops that are placed and any other objects that are placed around if I placed anything that's not hoops, including the reset location. And it'll save the race. So if I place the same hoops and I want to make 3 different races, I can build a race, I can save it with one name, then I can fly through the hoops in a different order on the build mode. All I have to do is make sure I save it under a different name. So I'll just save it as demonstration 1. Okay, so we know what that course is. Okay, so I'll just switch back to space mode here. And let's say I want to go through these rings in a totally different order. I still want to start at the same location, but what I want to do instead maybe is I want to go through this one again, but I want to go through this one, and then I want the player to come over here, and then go through this one, and then I want to go back through here, but then I want to go through this one, and then I want to go back through this one, Okay. So then my race is built, and let me save it. See, my last save was called Demonstration 1. So I'm going to save it as Demonstration 2. Save it. And so now you can see I have Demonstration 1 and Demonstration 2. So now if I race, oh, can't race in space mode. So here I am, I'm going to go racing. I'm racing. I'm going to go through this one. I already knew that I had to go through this one, but let's say I got this race from someone else. I wouldn't know that unless the color lit up green for me. And so that's the purpose of these colored fields right now, is to teach someone specifically the course that you were hoping to share. You might say, you know, this zigzag, I think it's amazing. I've placed it so well. Nobody's zigzag is as good as my zigzag. Everyone is going to love specifically this zigzag. So I'm going through, and let's say I'm tired of, I don't want to go back to the beginning, but that move didn't go very well for me, so I'll just hit reset, and it goes back to the first hoop. And let's say I want to go back, and I want to play the other one. I can just load. I can't click here, I have to type it. I don't know that much about programming, so. And now if I go racing, look, I'm still racing. I didn't even quit racing, and it's probably going to let me play this game just how I wanted it. Yep. And now I'm back at the other one. I never even had to get out of racing. So now I'm back to my regular figure eight. So if I wanted to make it a 2-lap race where it does one and then the other one, of course I can go through those hoops 6 and 7 times each. I can go around, I can make a race that does one figure eight and then one of the switchback figure eights, and then one that crosses all the way over there and then comes through here and then crosses all the way over there, and it'll tell me that, you know, it'll remember the order and it'll repeat it back to me. So using this, you don't even have to really, you know, try to memorize the course. It can save that for you. It'll help you remember what you did, you know. There's just a bunch of things that are actually kind of nice about having this course order be kind of stored for you instead of you having to always remember it. So that's pretty much the update. As always, there's lots of rings. The dockable weights haven't changed. I would like to make it so that it'll know if you have a weight attached, and then the player can. It'll get really complicated in the coding though, and I'm not a programmer. So it would be cool if, you know, I had to select this weight, and then while I had this weight, I had to go through the next hoop, and it would know if I had the weight, and it might even know which weight I have. And then the race would include these dockable weights, and these kind of things are hard to kind of fly around. I mean, you have a big weight out the front now, your ship flies completely differently. And you can't fit through the race, you know, I can't stop my rotation, I bounced all around. I mean, you really gotta fly it correctly. If I hit reset, I don't have the weight anymore, but it still thinks I'm connected. So I guess there's something I need to work on. And the weight is not back where it should be, but that's gonna be that's gonna be a whole other ball of wax. I'll just disconnect. Well, don't reset while you're connected to a weight. If you want to do that, you have to go back and reload. So I also don't know if you move those weights around and you save it, if it'll remember where you left them or if it'll put them back where you placed them. think it'll remember where you left them. And I think that if you want to save it so those weights are in their place, you need to place that object, save it. If you want to move those around actually though and save that, I think that'll work just fine. So I haven't put any of this in the instructions. I'll work on that later. And nothing has really changed with the rock hopper except for you get all the rings too. The rings are still all in there. So if I switch over to the warp hopper, there's a reset location. Should work. Yep, it's working. Oh, it's working 90 degrees out. So that's not very good. I would want to respawn the other direction. I guess that's something I should probably fix. No biggie deal. There's no players right now anyways. And if I place some rings and then I switch to build mode, I want them to go backwards again. And then if I switch out of space mode and I switch to racing, oh my goodness, it's not racing. Well, the rock hopper is not working. So I'm totally surprised by that. Well, I've posted it. It's uploading now, and I'm not going to be able to fix that today. So maybe tomorrow I can figure out what's going on with that. Alright, well anyways, that's what's going on here. No lap timer in the future. Probably not on the works unless I figure something out real easy. I looked at it, doesn't look terribly hard, but I'm not really in a rush to get keeping track of my lap times. What I'm more interested in getting is the ability to place a whole bunch of different tracks, share them, have other people place a bunch of different tracks, and just try to fly them a few times. Not for memorization and mastery, but for the exploration of new maneuvers and new environments and new experiences all the time. Always a new set of pattern of moves. Alright, thank you very much.